Alright, so I got everything painted, and now I'm just gonna throw some clear on there. This just goes up to like 500, but that should be fine. Okay, so I take one of the new pistons here. If you look down the sleeve, there's an arrow. The way it's supposed to point is towards the exhaust side. Now on these new cylinder heads, here's the intake right here, right? So then these are the two intake valves. These are the two exhaust valves. So when you flip it up like so, this is intake, so the arrow's got to point that way and that way. So when I go to connect this piston, it has to be looking that way on this side and that way on that side. So I want to extend this all the way. Got these snap ring pliers. Got the snap ring. I'm going to slide this whole cylinder on there. And I did check the piston rings already. I aligned them. I pulled one of the pistons out. And they were all good in there, so I don't think I need to keep monkeying with it. And I checked the deck height on the other one. That was in good shape too. What we do now is just take these push rod pins. There we go. Alright, so now I'm putting all the new gaskets on this right here. Slip right on this. Just do that on both sides. Got these thread down into here. These go down into here. Alright, so this will be easier to do before you put the wrist pins and the pistons in, but right now I'm just going around with some RTV around this. That's what I did on this side. You can see it's just dried, and then that makes a nice seal so it doesn't leak oil at the bottom. Then I just put some on the inside of the cylinder head too. I try to just put it around the edge because I don't really want it on this top lip. I think anything that's left in there will just get burned off, but it'd be better not to have an engine running on RTV. And then I just put a little bit around each of the ends of the push rod tubes. Whether it needs that or not, I'm not really sure, but I figure, you know, while I've got it all apart, I may as well just lather everything up with the RTV, the gasket sealer, and just hope for the best. gonna put this belt back on here now. Ugly ass bracket. Now I'm gonna put the belt on. Really feel back with this giant fucking man. Okay, so now I'm gonna put these J-packs back on, then put the exhaust back on. It's pretty simple. Got a bunch of new gaskets. Alright, so I got those J-packs on, and now I'm just gonna put this exhaust on. Just gotta bolt that up and it's good. Alright, so I got it all put back together, and now all I gotta do is just add some oil. I actually gotta take the carburetors back off to put it back in, but I just wanted to see how it looked, I guess, with them on there, so slapped them on there last night before I went in. But I'll take those off, drop some oil in, and then try to put this thing in the car. Alright, so I got the engine most of the way back in. I still gotta tighten up all the bolts, but all I did was I just jacked the car way up and we slid this under there. Then we lowered the car back down, and my dad and I just picked it up, and we kind of had the jack under it, and we just kind of pushed it in place, and it went really easy. I scratched this up a little bit getting it in there, but that's okay. And hopefully I can fire this thing up in a minute.
Let's get a spark. Let me know if I can help. Oh, hold on.
Alright, so I kept trying to get this thing to start, and I got it, you know, fire up, and it would run for a little bit, and then it would die. I don't know what this is. What is this? Alright, so I found my problem. I feel like this is all I keep saying, oh, I found my problem, but apparently the gasket didn't seat right when I put it in there. Still got the old one, which I think I'm going to use instead. I'm going to pull this one out, smother this thing with RTV, and see how we do. Okay, so I'm still having some carburetor issues here. Still doing the similar thing with the fuel. After I shut the car off, it's still just... Now both carburetors are pissing fuel into the car. So I don't know if there's something wrong with the carburetors themselves or with the fuel pump. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick swap and see if I can put it back to the stock carburetor. I still have it. I've still got everything for it, I'm pretty sure. Even though this took a while to install, a lot of what took a while was just putting all this linkage together and all that stuff and just figuring out how they went in. So I mean, I think I can swap this out pretty quick. The exhaust system's a little different, so what I'm gonna have to do is, like these were exhaust tubes, these are called heat riser tubes. I think I'm just gonna cut this off, just have this single piece, so that just goes right through the middle, and I think that'll work just fine. So that's what I'm gonna start with, and I'm just gonna cut that right off. clean this up and it'll be good to go. Alright, so the Beetle is finally up and running again. I did end up going back to the single carburetor setup. I showed a little bit of that, but I just did it real quick because I brought this out to a show last weekend and I wanted it to be ready for that. So, you know, it's running well again, so I'm really happy to have this thing back on the road. My camera's been acting a little weird, so it missed some of the clips. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. But yeah, I'm going to fire this thing up so you guys can see how it sounds. And yeah, thanks for watching.